All right, Nick, let's talk about the Detroit Lions here for a minute. This is a team that has come into the season, defied all of the expectations, and now, just by narrowly missing the playoffs, everyone knows that they're for real now, and they have a really, really bright future ahead of them. We've had a lot of stories, uh, even this offseason, just seeing how strong the Lions culture is, how much people want to be there, all kinds of things that run the gamut, just how strong a team is. And we have a story that, it kind of supports it, but kind of doesn't. And we want to just give our opinion on it. And we're going to get to that in just a moment. But Lions fans, it's award season. We all know there's like 50 million awards in the NFL, whether it's MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year. There's a ton of awards. And I just want to know in the comments below, let us know what your favorite award is in the NFL. What one do you think means the most? And maybe even who do you think is going to win that award? Let us know in the comments below. But Nick, what is this story on the Lions?
Yes, you alluded to it, right? The Lions culture has been something a lot of teams have been trying to replicate. We did a video about this, about how both the Lions offensive and defensive coordinators have been approached for head coaching interviews to take on and lead their own NFL teams. And obviously, it's an indication of how good of a head coach and how good of a leader Dan Campbell is. And after going from what they were last year to winning 9 games this year, becoming this close, losing out on tiebreakers to making the playoffs, a lot of people, myself included, thought Dan Campbell would be the overwhelming favorite to potentially win Coach of the Year. I thought he'd be the number 1 favorite. Well, according to NFL.com, they listed their nominees for AP Coach of the Year, and I'll run through the list here for you, Mize. They got Brian Daboll of the Giants, Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills, Doug Peterson of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers, and it wraps up with Nick Sirianni of the Philadelphia Eagles. Dan Campbell conspicuously is missing off this list. Now, Miles, I think this is a travesty. I think what Dan Campbell has done in these past 2 years is just, like you said, defying all expectations. He was kind of a new strategy, new mindset, the way he approached things, his bravado, the way he talked about, biting kneecaps, and the way he talked about leadership and focus and things like that, and competing, former player, all that kind of good stuff. The fact that he came in and was able to turn a program around so fast, get them to 9 wins, everything is trending in the right direction. They're such a young team. I thought for sure he was going to win Coach of the Year, especially after starting 1-6. The fact that he's not nominated, Miles, is just a huge sign of disrespect from the AP and the NFL writers who decide this award. I think Dan Campbell personally deserves to be on this list and probably should win the Coach of the Year award. Give me your thoughts on this, Miles. Are the Lions being just completely disrespected here, or what gives?
Yeah, Nick. So, the question we asked earlier, the Lions fans, just put this one as your least important award of the year because obviously you have no idea what they're talking about. And I'm just going to go through some of these nominees. Like Nick Sirianni, like maybe I could see that one. He's on the list.
Their
Sure.
roster is great. It's a great
Yeah.
roster. That's
But I
the
mean,
GM built that team. Like
it's not a miracle. And
no.
then Brian Dable, I could maybe see it. He had a lot that he had to work through. Okay, like being on the list, that's okay. Doug Peterson for sure. I think
Yeah.
taking that team turnaround, great one. Kyle Shanahan, I kind of think that one's a joke. Like, why is he even on there? And same goes for Sean McDermott. These are two high performing teams that made deep playoff runs last year. They've done exactly the same. Even the Bills, you could maybe say underperformed a little bit. They
I
had
would
a
say they
few
did. Yeah.
disappointing games this year, but you got guys like not only definitely Campbell's at the top of my list as far as guys who I think deserve to win, and not only win, he definitely deserves to be on the list. You snub guys like Pete Carroll, who loses his first string starting quarterback for many many years, comes to the backup Geno Smith, turns around and they have a great showing throughout the season. Even a guy like that isn't on there. So this really doesn't make any sense to me. Dan Campbell deserves to be on this list. And along the coaches they did pick don't even make sense to me at all. I don't see where they come in from with all this.
This almost has to be some sort of media bias where, for whatever reason, the writers who decide this just don't like Campbell, whether it's personally or professionally. That just has to be what it is, because obviously Dan Campbell upsets the apple cart a little bit. He kind of throws in a wrench of kind of the standard cookie cutter head coach, what you're supposed to say, how you're supposed to act, and all that kind of good stuff. But the reality is he's been extremely successful, and the fact that other programs are trying to poach their coordinators is an indication of it. And the fact that after this list came out, I love Ali McNeil tweeted just, huh? right after seeing the Coach of the Year finalist was reported. Like the Lions, I think Jason Kabinda came out and just asked, where's DC at, talking about this list here. So you have even Lions players like, what the heck, man? Our guy deserves to be on this list. And they love Dan Campbell. And it shows, right? You don't go from a 1-6 start after winning 3 games last year to winning 9 games and being on the cusp of making the playoffs with a bright future ahead of you with a young team that's just going to get better and better without being an outstanding head coach. And it's not like this thing happened out of thin air. Dan Campbell has made decisions these last 2 seasons at the leadership level. Obviously, he demoted Anthony Lynn, worked out great. Johnson's an awesome OC. He fired their DB coach, made some changes in the back end of that secondary, some of them to get a lot better on defense the second half of the year. Like, he is making the right leadership decisions for this team when it needs to be made, and the results are showing up on the football field. But for whatever reason, the media writers in this case don't recognize him for it. I think it's a darn shame. I think he probably should win the award, certainly be nominated. But Lions fans should take solace in the fact that you guys are going to be really good next year and the years to come, because Dan Campbell has proven himself to be a really quality guy running the team.